When the gods and demons churned the cosmic ocean to extract the nectar of immortality, the first thing that rose from the depths wasn't treasure. It was Halahala, a poison so toxic it could unmake everything. Every atom. Every star. Every living thing. The fumes alone made the gods vomit and collapse. Brahma turned away. Vishnu stepped back. The demons fled. And Shiva, the ascetic, the destroyer, the one who sits in graveyards and smears himself with ash, walked calmly to the poison, cupped it in his hands, and drank it all. Shiva drank the Halahala. All of it. The poison that could destroy the universe entered his body. But here's the detail that changes everything, the detail that turns this from a story about sacrifice into a blueprint for survival. Parvati. The moment Shiva swallowed the poison, Parvati lunged forward and pressed her hand against his throat. Not to stop him. It was too late for that. She pressed his throat so the poison couldn't pass beyond it. It couldn't reach his stomach. It couldn't reach his heart. The Halahala stayed trapped in Shiva's throat and the poison turned his throat blue. Neelkanth, the blue-throated one. That became his name. Not Shiva the destroyer. Not Shiva the meditator. Shiva, the one whose throat turned blue because he held the poison of the universe without letting it reach his core. And he only survived because someone who loved him knew exactly where to press. In psychology, this is the archetype of conscious suffering, and it maps to something very real. Therapists call it secondary traumatic stress or compassion fatigue. It's what happens to people who absorb the pain of others. The social worker who holds space for abuse victims and carries their stories home. The parent who grew up in an alcoholic household and says the dysfunction stops with me, absorbing generations of trauma so their children don't have to. The friend who listens to your crisis at 3 a.m. and says nothing about their own. They're drinking the Halahala. They're holding poison that isn't theirs because someone has to, and they decided it would be them. But here's what Shiva's myth teaches that most self-help books miss: you cannot do this alone. Shiva didn't survive because he was strong enough. He survived because Parvati's hand was on his throat. The poison stayed in a containable zone because someone who loved him knew where to apply pressure. Without Parvati, Shiva dies. The sacrifice destroys the sacrificer. Every person who holds pain for others needs a Parvati, someone who doesn't stop the sacrifice but prevents it from reaching the heart. A therapist for the therapist. A safe space for the one who creates safe spaces. Without that, conscious suffering becomes unconscious self-destruction. Shiva didn't avoid the poison. He didn't pass it on. He didn't pretend it wasn't there. He held it. In his throat. Not in his heart. And that distinction is everything. The throat is the place of speech, of expression, of communication. The heart is the place of self. Shiva holds the pain in his expression, it's visible, it's acknowledged, it changed his very color, but it doesn't reach his essence. He is transformed by the poison. He is not destroyed by it. That's the lesson. You can hold pain without being consumed by it. You can carry darkness without becoming it. But only if someone helps you keep it from reaching your core. The poison stops at the throat. The hand on the throat is love. And neither works without the other. Who is the Shiva in your life? The one who drinks the poison so you don't have to? Tag them below. They deserve to know. And who is your Parvati, the one whose hand keeps the poison from reaching your heart? Tag them too. Subscribe. Tomorrow we diagnose 5 Hindu gods with modern psychology. Shiva drank the poison. Wait until you see what the others are carrying.